Howdy Grubs, I was browsing the SBC Gaming subreddit, a subreddit dedicated to single-board computers like retro handhelds and gaming on them. On there, someone was talking about their backlog and how these handhelds have helped a ton in clearing out some of their games. That reminded me that I haven't posted a backlog tip video, despite drafting several of them. I have almost 50 of these tips drafted, so make sure to stick around for future videos. I've beaten 94 games this year, so let me tell you, I kinda have this junk figured out. Without further ado, let's dig in. Limit replays. One of the greatest things about these retro handheld SBC things is just the ability to revisit decades of gaming history from a singular device. No longer do you have to find the PS2 power cable to power your PS2 and find the PS2 specific controller and the PS2 specific memory card and the PS2 specific input cables and then plug them into your CRT or your monitor that maybe supports those cables, maybe doesn't. And should you want to switch to like a Sega Genesis game, you don't have to find the Sega Genesis power cable and the Sega Genesis AV cable and the Sega Genesis controller and the Sega Genesis cartridge for it. You can do all of it from one device, and that's it. You just swap between them. But it can be intimidating choosing where to start, and you might feel the pull to return to your list of classics that is fresh on your brain and familiar to you. This can be a bit of a trap when it comes to finishing your backlog. It's very easy to return to your favorites because of how your brain works. Human and mole brains really like to stick to familiar experiences that they find comfortable. Why risk not enjoying something new when you can play Shadow of the Colossus for the 18th time? I'm not exaggerating. That's probably actually an underestimate. You're never going to make progress on your list if you keep revisiting the ones you've already played. So limit how many games you allow yourself to revisit a month. Like new games, treat it like a treat. Think about how many times you've already played them and whether maybe we should be focusing on trying something new or not. Maybe it's finally time you played that game that one coworker recommended to you that you just keep putting off and he's given up on asking about. Assistive technologies. That's a really fancy way to say, buy stuff that makes playing games longer, easier. This might not apply to everyone, but one of the things that has been keeping me from playing my Switch 1 library was how poorly they ran on original hardware. Then when I got the Switch 2, it was the weight and the lack of comfort on the device holding me back. The weight makes it hard to hold long term because it lacks ergonomics like the Steam Deck. Because of that, I've beaten more games on the Steam Deck that I only got last month. Thankfully, I have big backlogs on both systems, so I'm not really wasting my time with this detour. What I could do here to ensure I play more games on my Switch 2 is to get something that makes playing the Switch 2 easier for me. Something that makes it more appealing, more comfortable, making it lighter and easier to hold. One example might be to get a Switch 2 grip case or wait until third-party Joy-Con come out with better ergonomics. There are also pillows with tablet grips or a tablet grip for my camera arms. I have a lot of camera arms and mic arms. I could set it up on a desk, have it hold the tablet for me, and I comfortably hold a controller in my lap. Another example would be one of these retro handhelds, or maybe something like a Steam Deck. Now, I don't recommend buying something without thinking about it first, so maybe just don't buy a Steam Deck unless you're really sure that it'll help. For me, and a lot of other people, it has. But if you don't have a lot of Steam games already, there's no point in getting it because you're just gonna have to buy a lot of stuff. And then that becomes an even more bigger money sink. Retro handhelds are a big recommendation from me, and I cover a lot of them, and they are much cheaper and have helped me a lot too. Just this past week with the Shu 20 V32, you're seeing it on screen, I've beaten 3 games. That's because of how portable it is and because my backlog is mostly retro games, so it makes sense for me. These are also dedicated devices, which could be its own tip. Dedicated devices are great for GSD, getting done. This handheld is Android based, but it does anything Android related pretty poorly because of how weak it is, because you don't need a powerful system for these retro games. So it's legit just for these retro games. This distraction keeps me from getting distracted by other stuff because it's only a game system. Using your phone to play these games is possible, and they're great with a controller, but I don't have the willpower to ignore a notification. Pogo, play one game only. Back when you were a kid, you didn't get games as often as you did as an adult. The whole reason was that your parents were buying games for themselves. The whole reason you have a backlog now is because you have more than you have time to play. That, and the games that exploit your psychology, like the digital pokies, slot machines, and Skinner boxes. There's a free tip for you. Stop playing live service games. They're bad for you, and for your wallet. Anyway, you beat more games as a kid because you got less games. If your parents were like mine, they wouldn't let you get another game until you beat your current game. So I got good at beating games fast. About 3 days to a week average for JRPGs and stuff. A lot of time spent playing them. So the pogo rule brings us back to when we were kids. We got one game and we played it until there was nothing left. I will say that you do need to make time for your social life. So if playing a multiplayer game with your friends is a regular social activity for you, don't count those games as part of your pogo. Those are bonuses, those are treats. Play one game only means choosing one game from your list and only one and playing it until you are completely finished with it. You don't need to 100% it, but you do need to beat it before you download the next one. For example, when I was a kid, everything came on these big cartridges. Even portable handhelds had pretty sizable cartridges, much bigger than the ones they have now, at least like 6 or 8 times bigger. So we would plug one into the system and bring it everywhere. We'd only play that one because bringing more asked for more space than we had. So if you have a retro handheld, treat it like the retro handhelds of old. You can install more than one game on it, but act as if there is only one game on there. My handheld is filled with games, but I'll make a favorite list, then only play one game from that list until I'm done. Anytime I go to play something, I play just that one game. This has its own benefits. One big problem I had was I'd drop a game and then come back days later and I'll have forgotten how to play. If I didn't return for weeks, I'd just start over. Of course, this cuts greatly into your time spent actually making progress. So if I play only one thing, I don't risk forgetting how to play should I take a break from it, because I won't be taking a break from it. List management. It's very easy to get more into making lists than playing the games, so make sure your list management system is easy, efficient, and can be used anywhere. You might type it up on a list on your phone or your PC. Maybe you write it down. I think an online service is going to be much more useful since you'll be able to access it from any device you'd like. I use Backlog. It's a gaming review and social media platform where you can make lists and review games from any platform. These lists can be great for discovering new games to play, seeing reviews for games that might be too old to have a lot of reviews, finding reviews for hidden gems, and for making your own lists. Backlog makes it easy to make lists and manage them. You can choose to make them public or private too. For example, I have a list for every English patched WonderSwan game. I also have a list for a bunch of English-friendly Swan games that don't have patches. Then I have a list logging every game I've beaten this year. My goal is to hit 100, and I am way ahead of schedule. Knowing when to quit. If you're using the pogo method, you might start to hate a certain game. It might be grating, and that might discourage you from playing that game. If you're pogo, then you might not play the only game you have, and then you'll never make progress on it or any of the games that would come after it. If this happens, it means you don't like the game. Stop playing it. Sounds obvious, right? But you'd be surprised how many people try to play through the pain. If you're not having fun, and if thinking about playing the game makes you want to not play games, or you're finding excuses to not play, then it's time to stop. You don't like this game, at least to some extent. It does not spark joy, so excise it from your life. Do not waste your precious and valuable time playing things you don't like. I have over 1,000 hours on Destiny 1, and I did not enjoy a single hour of it. I played it to play with friends. Imagine how many games I could have beaten in that time instead. Because not all that time was spent playing with friends. A lot of it was spent grinding on my own. The answer to how many games I could have played is 20 50-hour JRPGs, or 100 average-length games, or 200 short games, or more. Don't waste your time with games you don't like. It will only slow you down. Make time. As a YouTuber with multiple channels, one of which actually pays my bills, I am very busy. Some days I'll work from dawn till dusk, and if I don't force myself to make time for play, I will work through it. I enjoy working. I love creating something and seeing people's response to it. I don't make videos to make money, I make videos to see your comments. Seriously, I'm addicted to this social loop we got going on here. The reception to the video matters more than the video does to me. That's why I make and post videos so frequently. I just want to see what y'all think of it. If I don't make time for recreation, I simply won't do anything recreational. I have ADHD, and video making is an aspect of my hyperfixations. I can't leave something undone, so I have to start and finish it, and if it doesn't have clear stopping points, I won't stop. If I start a script, I have to finish that script the same day. If I start a recording, I have to finish the recording and make sure it's good enough. And the same with editing. If I start an edit, I have to finish an edit until I get to a specific stopping point. Like if I'm done editing the audio track, I will call that a good stopping point and I'll be able to finish and not feel bad about it. If I'm on the visuals, I'll stop on the visuals when I'm done with the visuals. If I pick the music, at that point the video's on its third pass and it's already done. So that's another reason why my videos are small or multi-parters that I end up combining later, because I have to keep them short so that I don't stay up for 24 hours. Used to be a big problem for me actually. So I have to schedule my fun, sort of. I mostly give myself a nebulous time frame, like I have to play blank hours of games before I go to bed. I do the same thing with all other aspects of my life, like social time and stuff like that. I have to remember that having a social life and fun time makes what I make better, whether that's through stories to tell on streams or for keeping my mental health. I need to make time for stuff that isn't work. So a good way to ensure you make progress is to make progress as important as any other part of your day. Make time for things that matter to you. Picking the right game. Picking the right game is a matter of picking one that matches your time to play. You need to be respectful of your windows of time, and if you're doing Pogo, some games aren't a good fit for small windows of time. 15 minutes of time won't get you through the exposition of an older JRPG, maybe a fourth of the way through. Several hours of WarioWare might just bore you after a bit. That's why games come in levels a lot of the time, so you don't play through in one full sitting, because sometimes they're just better in bite-sized pieces. What you play is as important as when you can play, and how long you can play for. So if you're doing Pogo, it might be hard to make progress on JRPGs. You might think when I said that I almost beat 100 games this year that I played nothing but short stuff. Not really. I might not have played many JRPGs this year, but I did complete achievement sets for multiple games that I like Ratchet Going Commando, Ratchet Up Your Arsenal, and Ratchet Deadlocked. Those take 30 to 50 hours apiece to 100% complete for retro achievements. So I definitely had the time to play a JRPG, multiple, if I chose to. You might just have to make exceptions in your Pogo to make progress though. Choose one game that's good for small windows of time, a companion game, and one that's good for your designated long play time. For short windows, pick something like Kirby. You can easily beat a stage of Kirby in like 5 minutes. If you're dropping the kids off at the pool, you have enough time to play multiple rounds of Kirby. WarioWare, another great toilet game. Mario, fighters, racers, stuff like that. Things where you can use these short windows to whittle away time at the game. You can still play JRPGs, but use that time for farming. Don't try to make story progress unless you have a handheld with a really good sleep function. For long play sessions, play anything you want. Anything goes. Reframe your thinking. It's easy to see your long list and not want to play anything. You might feel discouraged by the large amount of games, and you might think you'll never play them. This is a big reason why I don't keep a backlog in list form at all. I play what I'm feeling like at the time I go to pick a new game. It's bad enough that I schedule my fun time. I don't want to schedule what games I play too. What I do instead is I track my progress, not what I haven't made progress on. This is why my lists on Backlogged are more about what I've done and finished, not what I haven't done yet. Positive reinforcement is more effective than negative. You need to reward good behaviors, not punish them. Enjoy the process of completion. Each new game is an opportunity to experience some life-changing art and media. You are improving yourself by finishing things, and you should reward yourself as such. I now enjoy the act of finishing the game. A game finished is its own reward. Like a kid, I'm excited for what comes next, not saddened by what I have left that I may never get to play. Life is short, and you have to accept that you probably won't finish that list. It's much more important to value the experiences we're having and creating than it is for us to be on our deathbed mad at ourselves for being paralyzed by choice. Any progress is good progress. That's my motto. I even catch myself saying it to myself when I'm playing something and I think I'm not making much progress or enough progress that I find satisfactory, but it's true. I say it to myself. All progress is good progress. As long as I am moving forward, I am not staying still. Just say that to yourself. All progress is good progress. RNGesus. Praise be unto his name, for he has come to free us from the burden of choice. Choice paralysis is the phenomenon where a human or mole is presented with too many options, and they'll instead waste a bunch of time in the process of making a choice instead of just choosing and getting on with their day. When I present someone with a choice, I never give them 3 or more options. You choose to. The second there is a third additional option, people are much less likely to pick or are more likely to waste time. You might have experienced this yourself. My favorite example is the Mexican restaurant menu. Why are they always so long? How do they have all of these ingredients for everything? In the end, I always just end up choosing the carne asada and then regretting not getting something else. It's because your brain is afraid of choosing something new and regretting that even more. Why do something new and risk a bad experience when you can do the same thing as always and be just okay? We regularly deny ourselves new experiences because of the subconscious fear of the unknown. So when presented with a choice, either only give yourself 2 choices or randomly choose one. Put all of your games on a wheel and spin it. Whatever it lands on is what you have to play next. If it's good, then awesome. If it's bad, then it's not your fault. The wheel picked it. You didn't make that choice. It was out of your control. Blame bad RNG and spin again. It's no different than not getting the drop you wanted and running the dungeon again. Stop optimizing the fun out. What I mean is, when you focus on the optimization of a task you don't like, you're basically ripping the band-aid off. Make this thing that you hate shorter. When you optimize something that you enjoy, you're making the experience you enjoy shorter. You're forcing yourself to have less fun. Save the walkthroughs for when you're actually stuck. Maybe take a side quest if it sounds interesting or funny. Games are designed as an entire package for you to experience. Speedruns are for people who have already experienced the game once and want to finish it faster. You shouldn't be looking up speedrun strategies on your first playthrough. Your only focus when playing games should be to have fun. You're going to find that if you don't enjoy it, you're not going to retain anything. If you're not having fun doing this stuff, you might choose to stop doing it because your brain goes, well, this is just work now. I hate work. I'm going to make sure that Michael is less motivated to do this and give him less dopamine when he succeeds. Maybe he'll finally quit. Then you find yourself enjoying your games less and less. This was the case for me for a while. Video games just felt like work, so I stopped trying to optimize the fun out. Now I only use walkthroughs when I genuinely need it. That's all I have for tips. If you have more, share them below so that I can steal them and put them in the next video. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to tip your mole. I take likes, subscribes, and controller emojis. Bye!